welcome to another episode of Talk to Ty. I am the phenomenal host, Tatyanamonee. And another word that I'm going to start using because I watch Club Shay Shay. And he says, this is Club Shay Shay and I am your host and proprietor, Shannon Sharp. So I am your host and proprietor of Tatyanamonee. Talk show. Talk to Tot. Real people, real talk, real life. Yeah, I'm going to work on my delivery, my intro, blah, blah. But I hope that my 3-day delayed episode reaches you well. I wanted to talk about being liberated to leave your job. I quit my job. Was that the right decision? A lot of times we make that hastily because the job be getting on our nerves. We're overworked. We're underpaid. We're working around people who have a thoughtless mentality. They're very shiftless in the duties that devolve upon them, and everything rests on you. You can name it. I could go on and on about those gripes. And once we've reached that level of F it, I'm done, I've had it, I'm tired, unhand me, we leave. I did that. And yes, I prayed on that decision. Yes, I am aware that I made a very big move that was necessary for me, and I embraced that. But sometimes I'm like, was that the right move? Was that the right time? Was it necessary? And I tend to have those thoughts when something, I don't want to say hits the fan, but when an issue arises, like, oh, this bill is due, or I'm getting a little lazy when I'm at home during the daytime, things of that nature. So the thought comes into my head, like, how things just live rent free in your subconscious. Sometimes it's things that you don't even know that's there. Yeah, so that be popping up, especially when you hear about other people's stuff, like your village that you talk to on a day-to-day, and they tell you what their work experience was like, and you like, I don't have a pony in that race right now. Working on it, definitely working on it. But was it the right decision? And what brings me out of that is when I reflect on why I had to do it. When you are working in a setting where no matter how much you try, you can't get things done. When you are working in a setting where no matter what you do, there's always going to be somebody who intentionally causes dysfunction, and there's no reprimand because unfortunately that's not the department you sit in. So you can't reprimand them. When you work in an environment where there's so much discourse, especially when there's primarily a group of women, and I don't want to sit here and say just all groups of women are just catty and all of that. But if there's a certain type of woman and that type, there's multiples of them in that workspace. It's not unfair to not rule that out. Birds of a feather, right? When you are in a setting where no matter how the policy is transcribed or what the rules are, even upper management will cut corners, forget the corners that they cut, and then show up to you asking you why are these deliverables not being met, like they didn't have a hand to play, like they weren't stirring the pot, or they didn't have a hand in it. I got tired of that. Beyond that, I was a manager. I had to manage a team that was unmanageable. And I say that because they did whatever they wanted to do, but I had no authority to fire or to reprimand, to write up, to suspend, to send home for the day. I didn't have that jurisdiction because I was the second in command. When you are the HBIC, you hold all the cards. But the HBIC was being a B. with no H, no I, no C. So I'm like, wait a minute. Everything starts with the head. So if the head is contaminated, no wonder why all these birds is flocking. And when you are the outlier and you are the only one doing things a certain type of way, you can still look like you're wrong just because you're not fitting the mold of what everybody else got going on. I mean, when I tell y'all it runs deep, like, another reason why I had to quit my job was because there was a member of staff that chose to get aggressive with me, and it was a man. I'm like, yo, if my daddy was alive today, I wouldn't have to have this part of the conversation right now, you know? That's something that I was like, okay, that's my tipping point. No way on earth should I feel unsafe and, I don't want to say intimidated, but unsure about what my whereabouts could be while I'm at work. That shouldn't be a thing. And when that is something that's on the table and the company is not doing what's necessary to promote what's best for the business, for the team to have a good camaraderie in the work environment, for work operations to still be able to, you know, be executed, which that can't happen if employees are being aggressive with each other. And when I say aggressive, y'all, I mean to the point where I had to call the police and file 2 police reports. I had to file 2 police reports. Granted, the dude didn't put his hands on me. He's not that crazy. But he got really close into my space. I had to remember something. Granted, I'm from the South Side, Chicagoland suburbs. There's no hole in my heart. I've been through some things. I won fights, lost fights, got into it with girls in high school, whatever, all of that. We all had our, you know, our thing, right? But I have never been disrespected by a man like that. And then for that to be in a workplace where you see each other more than you see your families a lot of times, depending on the nature of business you're in. And for me, that nature of business was property management. So you're there 8+ hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week, depending on your position. So, and then what makes it even worse is that particular individual, he was the maintenance supervisor. He lived on property. You definitely can't get away from him, even on his off day. Because when he's off, he's a resident. So he could come into the office and ask for whatever if he needed to. And I'm like, okay, if I am dialing in to that side of me, that Aquarius, that Chicago, that Shanton and Tim, that left brain and right brain crazy, where I know I got access to all your personal information, I can get into your apartment, and I'm over here calculating your demise, I need to go. Don't act like y'all don't understand. And it may not be to the extent of my situation, but you felt like choking some of your coworkers or bosses to sleep, or some of your subordinates to sleep. You felt like laying hands, you know, doing first and thinking or asking questions later, if at all. Don't act like this is new. When you are overworked, underpaid, underfunded, with no resources, and you're understaffed, you begin to question, okay, why am I here? So I had to make a decision. I'm looking at all these reasons why I should not be here. And really, outside of getting a reliable check, which is, it's not sufficient. It's just reliable in the sense of it routinely shows up bi-weekly. Outside of that, what am I gaining? I'm driving an hour each way to get there. I'm dealing with the people that I'm dealing with. The company is no help. I didn't even get to the end user, the residents. When you're working with certain types of clientele, it can definitely help you develop your preferences on when you continue to deal with end users, what types or what demographics you prefer to deal with. That's just like, sidebar, that's just like a lot of us black folks. We can give you a million reasons why we don't feel comfortable shopping black. Not saying we don't, but we could give you reasons why we don't feel like shopping black. Because so-and-so got these retarded specialty hours that don't make no sense to nobody, because the person never shows up on time, or because the person forgot what your appointment was about, or they don't have the proper tools to get your stuff done, but then they want to upcharge you for an alternative because it requires more labor. I mean, it goes on and on. It could be rinky dink. They nickeling and diming you, or you just come in and stuff is just half done. You know, like, black folks, we got to do better. We got to do better, especially in the workplace. This man was black. The women that I say women to be respectful. There's another word I would prefer to use, but the women that I was working with were black, except one was part black. Why are we like this in the workplace with each other? Why are we so quick to be disrespectful and competitive and catty and bitter and just lack? Why do you want to come to work to go to lunch? I don't understand that. You signed a piece of paper saying you're going to do XYZ amongst your fellow staff members. Just show up and do your job so we can go home. That's it. But if I have to do your job, and I know I'm a manager. Well, I was a manager, assistant manager. Whenever there is some type of deficit, it is your responsibility to jump in and assist, or to pick up the slack, right? Those should be random and sporadic occurrences. If it's happening all the time, those aren't instances. That's a pattern of behavior. That means it's not a humbug that this happened. You made a conscientious decision to do this, and there is no accountability. I can't work in an environment where there is zero accountability, and because I'm the one showing up, holding myself and everybody else accountable, I'm Cruella. I'll be her. Yeah, and Cruella took that daggone deuce. I mean, when I tell y'all that company was so corrupt, and I'm not sitting here just talking about this one company as to bash them or anything like that. But when you look at why a person decided to interrupt their financial flow, that is a big decision. That's something I had to pray on. That's something that it took. I was there with them for over a year. Mind you, only gave me a 50-cent raise. Yeah, cool. Yes. So when you have to look at stuff like that, you're like, okay, why am I here? Sometimes you have to take a risk, even if that risk comes with consequences or a temporary setback. That's not to say I wasn't applying for other jobs or interviewing or anything like that. No, I absolutely was. I made a job out of trying to find another job. But sometimes certain things that you want, they just don't show up yet. I could have had a job at McDonald's, Walmart, the grocery store, whatever. I didn't want those. I wanted something that I would make no less than what I'm making now, because that's already unacceptable. So why would I just pick up anything just to be picking up anything? Not going to do it. So if that means I have to have a little struggle moment here or there with my finances for a couple months, no more than that, I'll take that L so that in return, I get my peace. I get my peace. Some people are good with coming to work and tuning everything out. I understand that. You leave work at work and you leave home at home. It's almost to the point where I didn't have a choice in that. Because when you go to work and you're at work to work and you're leaving home at home, what about when work can't be work? What do you do about that? How do you block that out when work is actually the problem? When I tell y'all, I would literally get settled into my office. The moment my fingertips would touch my keys, my phone is ringing nonstop. Somebody's coming into my office without an appointment. Not even saying, excuse me. They just start talking. Then you got corporate sending emails. Then you got my supervisor frolicking around doing, like, sometimes she's showing up as a boss and other times she's showing up like she's the younger sister on the team. You know, it's just like you got to balance all of these personalities, yet I'm still focused on my to-do list. I don't care what y'all got going on if it ain't got nothing to do with this here, with this facility here. I'm not partaking in the frivolity. I'm not. We grown. I don't want to be with y'all outside of 8 to 5. So why complicate it? I mean, I really had to look at these people and be like, do they know what going to work is? And I was the second youngest. When I tell y'all I felt like I was in an adult playpen, that is not an understatement. That's ridiculous. And I understand that in that environment, there may have been some differences as far as our backgrounds and stuff. Like, I was the only person that, as far as who was a female, was unmarried, no kids, don't have nobody living with me, nothing. I'm the only one. Okay, I'm different. I embrace that. I was born special, please. So spare me. But I'm still here in this environment with this company. So obviously, whatever sets me apart, there's still something that matters enough for me to be here so I can go from point A to point B and get stuff done. And when you not rolling like that, I can't rock with it. Not when it's the whole team. Normally a office setting would have that one person that everybody can't stand. No, when it's all y'all, then it's like, wait a minute, is it me? But no, it ain't me. It ain't me, because I'm not the one getting rid up for my work ethic. I'm not the one that people don't come to because they can't figure out something or get something done. I'm not the one that people can't trust to take care of something, to handle things, to de-escalate things. No, I am literally the one-stop shop, getting everything done because my work speaks for itself. Like, literally, and I promise you, I'm not exaggerating. Everybody in that office needed me for something every day. So if I'm the asset, granted, we're all disposable, but if I am the asset and yet you still feel the need to not do your part, exercise overuse of assistance, you're really a dependent person. How am I supposed to recharge? How am I supposed to reset? How am I supposed to come in and perform at an optimal level for what's expected of me when everything is a take? Nothing's being given to me. If for sure ain't money. And I had to sit with myself and look at that. You are a Black, well-educated, artistically inclined, talented, articulate woman with 3 degrees, multiple certifications, and you putting up with this? Oh, baby. Bye. So I have to remember, even though right now things are a little fuzzy because of finances and because I am not in the career field of passion that I want to be in. And it's not without effort. Don't get me wrong. I be trying. I'm just not there yet. Some people say, oh, it's not your season or whatever, or you just got to keep going until you get it. And it's like, I understand both of y'all. But it still ain't happening right now. So until that happens, I still got to deal with the journey as I work towards the destination. Even if I have to put a complication on that journey. And I don't regret it. I may think about, like, was that the right thing to do? But then when I look at the grand scheme of things, when I tell y'all, when I quit that job, I never felt so liberated in my life. in my life. And I say that because if your work environment is toxic, if it's depleting, if it is unsafe, if it is immoral, and you ain't getting no money, there's no worth, there's no value. You gotta go. And I'm a firm believer, this is a point that I was gonna say before, but it has slipped my mind temporarily. I'm gonna move before the Lord make me move. I learned my lesson. Lingering around, how grandma say, don't overstay your welcome. Baby, bye. No, Ty had to get up out of there. Y'all ain't finna keep. My grandmother is a very funny lady. My maternal grandmother, who I'm about to quote, she be saying this phrase. When I tell you, it tickles me every time. She be like, stop pimping me. Like, you not finna be pimping me. Stop pimping me. So I had to channel Big Glow. That's what I call. I got multiple nicknames for my grandma, but one of the nicknames I call her is Big Glow because her name Gloria. I'm like, yeah, Big Glow said, stop pimping me. You're not about to pimp me. No, ma'am. So I chucked that deuce. I gave them a 16-day notification of resignation. And I think they knew. And then on top of that, they were selling the asset. So I'm like, okay, y'all selling the asset. You can't tell me when the close on this sale is going to occur. You can't guarantee that you'll find me a job within the company once this sale happens. But you're saying, oh, we'll give you a what they call it, a stay on bonus. So if you decide to stay with us throughout the sale until the end of the sale, then you'll get this stay on bonus. And when I went and looked at the money and I calculated everything, I'm like, there's only one comma here. Like there's one digit after this comma right here. I'm like, that's how much, like, if you really want to look at it, that's practically like in the year's time, how much taxes got taken out. I'm okay. Cause and there were even some stipulations with that. When they sent me the stay on bonus paperwork, how come I'm editing y'all document? Child. Y'all the corporation. Obviously, y'all need some help up there in HR and all of that. Hire your girl. Why promote me? Because I'm over here editing your documents. I had to have the regional come sit in my face and be like, yeah, Tatiana, you're the only person in the company and the only person I've ever seen in 20 years turn down a stay on bonus. I understand. And he was like, yeah, and you didn't explain. I understand that too. Well, we want to know. My nose ring keep turning, y'all. That's why I keep messing with it. If you're watching the video version of this episode, we want to know why. And I'm like, all right, I'm glad you asked. I pulled it out and I already had my notes on it. Because that's just how my mind works, y'all. When stuff don't make sense to me, I'm over here proofreading. Okay. So I pointed out everything to him. He said, oh, I see what you're saying. It makes sense. Da, da, da. I said, yeah, I need assurances because this company doesn't give them. So if you want answers from me, I need some assurances. And this doesn't even look like I would even get the stay on bonus because there's too many loose ends where that money could just fade away. What if I agree to stay on with you guys and then the day before the sale closes, because we're at an at-will state in Georgia, you let me go? I'm not under contract. How can I get this money? Then you're not telling me how soon would I get the stay on bonus after the close of the sale? Because if you can't find another place for me to go in this company, I am jobless and I can't file for unemployment. Yeah, all bad. It was all bad. So I had to leave. I don't regret my decision. Sometimes I think about the decision that I made, and that's just because I'm a reflective person. And when certain things come up in life, sometimes you look back on your hand in the matter. And I like my mom always said, check yourself. If something is going on with you, check you first and see if there was something that you could have done differently or that you need to do from here. So naturally, I'm programmed like that. And so, yeah, from time to time, I'll be like, ooh, girl, could you have waited like another month or something? But then I'm like, nah, I couldn't. Especially with that safety thing, though, because I do fight dudes. I wholeheartedly do. I'm at a different place now, though. And when I quit, I was able to focus on my mental in ways that I could not possibly imagine. And I'm grateful for that because everything else was silent. I didn't have to worry about the chaos and confusion that suffocated 8 to 10 hours of my day every day. That's a third or more than a third of my day. Because the other third, you're supposed to be sleeping, and the other third, you're supposed to be handling everything else you couldn't do in the other 2/3. Very consuming. And I didn't realize how much stress had built up right after I quit. I slept for a while. I slept to the point where it bothered me. I was talking to my mom about it, talking to the Lord about it, talking to my best friends about it. And I'm like, I'm so sleepy. I'm so tired. And one of my good friends, she's in Miami. She was like, best friend, it's because you probably were more stressed out than you thought and it rested in your subconscious. And I said, that's a problem. A job shouldn't bother me that much, especially a job where I am not the owner, chief operating officer, CFO. That ain't mine. If I'm not the person that pushes the big red button, I had to wake up to my worth. Remember that? I had to wake up to my worth. Absolutely not. Knock it off. That's what my mom said. She's like, knock it off. Go and sit down somewhere. And so what did I do? Tatyana, what Monique say? She said, I shut my fat ass up. I shut my butt up and sat down somewhere. I needed to sit down. I needed that break. I needed that release. I needed that disconnect from such a very just draining element in my life. Even though there was one positive out of that. A check. And when you look back at it, it's like, was that really a positive? It's almost like it's hush money. You know what I mean? Like they dangling the little carrot, like, oh, you made it to Friday. Here's the reason why we need you back on Monday. Yeah, no, kick rocks with Satan. I'm okay with that. You can have it, actually. Because the crazy part is, this is how you know a decision like that was necessary, is when you're almost financially in the same place you were as if you were still working. Take the wheel. Ain't that something? And y'all probably like, you chose the wrong job. It's like, well, I didn't vie for that position. I was asked. Because people heard of my work and they're like, oh, we need you to come here and clean this property up. We need you to do quality control. You know, like people were cooking the books with the finances. We need you to clean all of that stuff up, fix this, bring whatever's in the dark to the light. Boom. All right. Challenge accepted. I'm here. I'm working. I'm doing my thing. After however many months, like there were tiered months where structurally I should have been getting increases in my income. That didn't happen. There's always an excuse. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to give y'all. I told my supervisor after my 90-day period, I was like, oh, yeah, this ain't nothing I want to be in longer than a year. So I told my supervisor, that's who asked me to come and work with them because we worked together previously. And I'm going to get to that in a second. I said, I'm going to give you 10 months to a year. Like, and this is already including the couple of months that have gone by. So I will not be here longer than a year. So whatever you need from me, get it now. I already knew. She was like, okay, I understand. I'm going to be out of here too, because I see how things are going. I'm like, you were here longer than me and you asked me to come. So that's the point that I'm coming to now. When you take a favor for someone in the form of a job, there's a lot that needs to be considered with that I didn't consider. I'm a person of good faith because I know that I can give what I expect to be given to me. Not everybody built like that. Not everybody was raised by my parents. Not everybody grew up in the environment I grew up in the South Chicagoland suburbs. Not everybody got the people in my life or had the experiences I did. I really, really see that more and more each day. Because for me to take that job, there was a reduction of pay because I was coming from a separate company who was paying me more with dealing with less of a caseload. I'll just say caseload. That was red flag number one. But I'm like, oh, off the strength of, in good faith of this person who is showing up this way for me right now, I could do this temporary favor. Especially because I was already leaving the company that I used to be with anyway. So I'm like, okay, what? This saves me a search or whatever. Decisions like that have to be vetted more. I made a mistake. I'm not saying people can't develop friendships at work or some type of kinship, but that individual was not my friend at all. I had a misjudgment of character. And partially it's not my fault because they were showing up and trying to assume a role in my life. Like, I'm here for you. Like, when you communicate your intentions to me and your actions follow up with your words, why wouldn't I believe it? You know what I mean? But then as more time progressed and things started happening, and the things that I'm referring to are, I'm not a yes person. I don't say yes. I don't jump on a bandwagon. I'm actually that person that if everybody is doing something, I'm going to intentionally not do it because I don't want to do what everybody's doing. If a show come on and everybody into it and they watching it, I'm like, I'm going to watch it when y'all don't care about it no more. I'm them. I'm one of them. That's just how I am. So I had no red flags. So I'm like, okay, I could trust this person enough. They want me on their team. They want me to come help and make stuff right. All right, cool. Couple months in, started showing her tail. I said, yep. I'm not going to agree to do something that compromises my morals and my values. I'm not going to do that. And especially for y'all not worth it. So once I took a stand, once I once I refused to not join in on the dysfunction, everything changed for me. And every day that I went to work, and when I tell y'all, I even had to consult with my doctors because every day that I would get to work, that I would be on my way to work, I would have these intense pains in my stomach. I started getting pains in my head. And I'm not a person that gets sick or experiences pain a lot. That's just how me and my family are built. Granted, when you get older, that's a whole nother story. But, we don't get sick and we don't just have these long-term dealings of just pain. We don't do that. We don't have that. And I was 31 at the time. So 30 and 31 at the time. Because I started when I was 30 and then I had a birthday while I was there. Why am I having intense stomach pains? Why am I going and getting a neurological consult? Because I'm having sharp pains in my brain. It was to the point where my therapist even had to write me a letter to take, I don't want to say a sabbatical, but I had to get evaluated. So I had to take, it was 2 or 3 days off of work so that I could get evaluated to get released to come back to work because of stress. Nope. Mm-mm. No, absolutely not. That month that happened, I put in my notice. I was like, okay, Lord, you ain't got to continue to convince me. I don't need to be here. I was never supposed to be here. That's probably why I had the issues that I had from day one that had nothing to do with me. You can't make something work that's not supposed to work. That's like trying to put two unmatching puzzle pieces together. And I'm glad I learned that without losing anything else. I lost time, I lost my patience, and I lost energy. Okay, noted. Took that little L, give myself some grace on that, and now I'm a move forward. But I will not ever let that happen again. So when y'all are waking up every day and giving your all to a company that don't think twice about you, you can't rely on your boss, you don't have resources, your subordinates are acting up, people crazy and want to be aggressive towards you and do all this yelling and they banging on your walls in your office and stuff like that, and move. Leave. There will be somewhere else for you to go. And if you are unsure or uncomfortable doing that without having another job lined up or having a savings, plan ahead. Plan ahead. Some people are like me where they're like, I'm going to just take the risk regardless. If you one of them, okay. I'm not finna tell nobody to do something where it's like so much of a risk that you might not pass. I'm not going to tell you that. But I know that there are some people who think like me because they've done it. I've spoken to them too. But what I will say is the moment you do leave from this situation that has been holding you back and living rent free in your mind, when you get home or on your way home from work, you got to have all these calming mechanisms and stuff like that. You're going to be so free. It's such a good feeling, y'all. Like, it's indescribable. I am liberated. I'm on my own terms. Like, I am really living unapologetically. I'm not scared to say anything. I'm not scared to make whatever move that come in my head. Like, if I feel like waking up and doing this today or whatever, I'm going to do it. I'm not biting my tongue. I'm not letting nobody take advantage of me like that again. No, you spend too much time at work. That's an investment. And when you don't get a return on your investment, you got to pull out. You got to pull out like you doing it raw. Pull out. Pull out. I'm serious. So if you are right now in your thoughts about what's going on with your job, especially if it's not your career field of passion, you need to have a conversation with yourself. You need to reevaluate some things. In my previous episode, I talked about how everyone has cups. Like, your cup of life has different elements to it, whether it's work, spirituality, family, social life, your relationship, blah. If that work element is lacking, it creates an imbalance with everything else in your cup. You got to fix it. You got to fill your cup. You got to figure it out, especially if you've exhausted all other possible methods of resolve. That means it ain't you no more. It's them. It's a them thing. So don't bear that burden and continue sitting here taking up space in a place where you are not welcome. Wake up to your worth. You deserve it. The time is now. You can't get no time back. And why waste the time that's not even promised to you yet? It is a beautiful thing to not have to go through stress and chaos that you inadvertently signed up for. Unsubscribe to that. Unsubscribe to working around things that debilitate you. Because then you're improperly working. You're not operating to your fullest potential. I had to realize that for myself. If I feel like I'm not accomplishing what I need to, and it's crazy because people don't see it how I see it. Well, you're doing great work, Tatiana. We don't have to worry about you. Yeah, but what am I getting out of that? I'm benefiting you, but this is a mutualistic thing. It's a give and a take. You can't just keep taking from me and not getting nothing, giving me nothing. No, I need to replenish. So make a move. Make a move. Because after a while, you can't blame nobody but you. And I didn't want to be her. I didn't want to be her. I wanted my conversations to be different when I got off work. I wanted my conversations and interactions to be different when I'm on my lunch break and stuff like that. Like, I shouldn't have to utilize moments where I have to go walk myself because I'm going to mollywop somebody. You don't deserve my peace like that. No, they already tax us enough. We work hard for money that most of it we don't get back. That's taken out of our checks. Why do I need to let you take anything else from me? I yield. So I hope that whoever is laboring under the decision of whether or not to wake up and go to work, because you got to pray out of bed every day, because you got to convince yourself to get out the car, because you have to put things in your office that reminds you that this is only temporary, focus on the goal and hurry up and get out of there, and you're not happy and those things just aren't working. Prioritize yourself. Think about the what if. You could be doing something different. It don't matter your age. It don't matter what your background is. It don't matter how long you've been doing this job. It's a whole world out there. It's waiting on you. Go get some. It's room for everybody. And you will see, like, it's even different in my face because I was having like dark marks. I was breaking out a lot more. My sleeping habits were all crazy. My eating habits was crazy. I got my control back. I got my peace of mind back, my sanctity. And my safety is no longer in question. And neither is his. I'm just saying. I'm precious cargo. So if anybody ever thought to try Tatyanamonee Hinton, I feel very bad for you because it ain't going to go well. And if my dad was here, oh. So yes, my lovelies, take this moment of reflection to really think about what's best for you and bust a move. I leave you with that. I appreciate y'all for tuning in to my episode this week. I apologize for the delay. I'm only human, but I do intend on the next episode coming out later this week. So that way I'm still at the end of the year, I should still have 52 videos, 52 podcast episodes. So thank y'all for rocking with me on this episode of Talk to Tot, where we talk about, was it the right decision to quit my job? Don't forget to like and subscribe if you are watching this on YouTube. Don't forget to leave a review. If you're listening to this on podcast, please leave a review or give me a good rating. I really do appreciate this. Share this content. If anybody has any ideas on topics that they would like for me to cover, please let me know. If anyone is interested in being a guest on the show, please let me know, and I would love to collab with you and get you on here too, because this is also a platform for building, not just expressing, but for building. You know, this is a positive and safe space. So until next time, I'm your girl, tatyanamonee. In this episode of Talk to Tot, real people, real talk, real life. It's a wrap, boo.